Well, hello, fellow traveler. We're here to drop in for our next 72 hours portal report. And we're just going to see what's coming on down the pike. We got some interesting energies brewing here. The synchronicity 555 has been coming in quite a bit recently, and that really does speak to a need to prepare to take flight with a running leap of faith off a cliff, okay? It may seem like it's a very daring thing to do. As I said that, a firefly just came on through and headed straight up north, okay? So that's an interesting energy coming in there. Something is like, yeah, it's just like a fleeting moment. You know, fireflies, they don't keep their lights on the whole time they're in flight. It's just this little flicker in time that you get to capture that magic, and something you're preparing to take a leap into is a bit like that. It's just this little fleeting window of time when you have an opportunity to make some magic happen. You also have a chance to take something that would normally seem a rather threatening, formidable, opposing force, and turn it into something almost dainty. Dainty, that's a funny word to come through, but that's what's coming through. Dainty, it's almost like a brutish force maybe, and there's something about the way you're moving here refines something that would otherwise carry more weight, have a bit more heft to it, be a bit domineering. It's got like kind of a brute sort of energy to it, but you're going to refine it and make it something dainty. That's an interesting message. 2:02 on the clock. Okay. Trust your intuition on this. The road is opening here, and it is the road of the fool, so beginner's mind is at the helm. Don't think you got it all figured out. That's what will really throw you off here. The more you can head into something just knowing, I have no idea what's up ahead, but I know I got the wiles, I got the wit, and I got what I need to be able to maneuver it. You're going to do just fine, okay? You're mincing through the minutia. You are slicing and dicing something away from a perspective of complication, and you're putting it in a perspective of the little teeny details. The little teeny details are more easily managed, and yet it's the little itty bitty details that can actually make a big colossal mess. So there's something here that you're getting ahead of a little bit here, right? So let's see. Yeah, I think you got a certain strategy that you're going to be putting in play here. It's going to get you there first. That's all I know. The rat was the first to greet the Buddha. So there's something you already have a little bit of an edge with, something that's already been enlightened for you, perhaps something that got enlightened for you with that Capricorn full moon, and now you're just sort of biding your time, preparing for the moment to act and go against the current of things. I think you know that there's a little push. There's a little push here. It's not going to come necessarily easily, but more is handled adeptly, right? You're navigating your way around some gnarly thorns. You're getting to something sweet that you desire here. Oh, I like it. Yeah, you're absolutely bringing about some kind of transformation here. You cleansed away an influence that maybe had its eyes on your prize for too long. There's something that's had an eye on you for too long. Maybe you've done something to cloak that vision too, so you can move forward more easily, more freely. This may have been putting some blocks in place. Blocks in place where somebody wasn't able to see all the details of your life. It's those little details that add up to big things, especially when you have somebody else that has access to all those little details, and then they can put those details together in a particular storyline narrative that changes others' views of you, or can even tamper with what you got your sights set on here. But I see you navigated something. You brought it about in a very creative sort of way, the way you transformed this, but it had an electrifying effect. This immediately helped you see what was draining your power, what was limiting your voltage here. And I do feel like now you're able to really be a conduit for what you're wanting to draw into here. It's like already, it's so important how you're focusing those mind waves of yours, because they are rippling out from you. You really are a conduit at this time. So your energy is transmitting a frequency. It's starting to draw things into your sphere of influence, and you're just kind of riding it out here. I do feel like you're cool having beginner's mind. You're cool not having a roadmap, not necessarily having a clear vision of where you're going. I think before you had a very clear sense of where you thought you were heading, only to have to realize that you weren't seeing something accurately because of those little details. And maybe if you're not sure about that right now, more of those details are about to come into view. The things you once desired long ago are no longer carrying the same punch. They no longer light you up in the way that you really want to be shaken and stirred. You're wanting a deeper level of activation here. So, you know, some of you have burned some bridges. You took the risk to burn a bridge. You were very certain, I'm not going back in a particular direction. Yeah, I do feel like some of you have really made a clear cut here. You saw what was really holding you back, and you did sever ties in some cases, ties that bind. And I do feel like this was a wise recourse. For some of you, this could have been with a particular intimate partner, or somebody who knew too many intimate details about your life. It could be that somebody knew too many intimate details about your life, and they used that to cozy up to an intimate partner of yours. Could have been happening online. You were slow to acknowledge it. You didn't want to see it. You didn't want to see it. You didn't want to believe that that's what was going on online. That somebody that you once let into your intimate spaces. This doesn't have to be a lover. In some cases it was, though. It's, you know, a lover who shared intimate details for others of you. It could have been a close one, you know, a friend, somebody you considered an ally, could have been a family member. Now those old ghosts are being dug up here, I see, you know. Somebody thought something was laid to rest. Maybe they thought that they got away from something, got away from being revealed, but I do feel like this effing guy is here to settle a score. You see something very clearly. Somebody is seeing something very clearly. It's like all of the details are coming out of the crypt with this new moon that's brewing. Got a week now leading up to the new moon in Cancer. It's a super moon and it's going down on the 14th, okay? And that's when this transformation is really underway. This is when we enter this fertile cycle. So be aware of how you are harnessing that fertility, how you are seeding your future right now with what you're focusing on, with what you're envisioning for yourself, with what you're allowing to take up your time and energy, because things are really starting to come into form. You're going through that final forge, and pretty soon you're going to see what's on the other side. What's on the other side. But just know, you know, where you are feeling a little bit drained, or you're feeling a little bit tired, you feel like I don't have what I need to even head on down that new road. You will in time, you see. You're just feeling the after effects of the sacrifice of gaining the view into the mystery. You know, anytime you gain access to the mystery, the keys you need for alchemy, for transformation in your life, it does take a bit out of you. There is a price you pay for gaining sight into certain areas that are reserved for those who know the value and know the importance of holding tight what they learn there, what is to be shared and what is to be kept close to the chest. I feel like you're coming into awareness of something here. It could be a piece of information. It could be some kind of secret knowledge. It could be something of a mystical nature, an empowerment, a magic that is awakening in you, a gift you're becoming conscious of. There's something that you're gaining sight into here, but it's so important that you don't let this leak. I feel like if you leak this information or this awakening, this insight you have before it's time, it could cost you the opportunity of being able to pass through this door. So there's something about take the heat of keeping it internalized right now. That may be difficult for you. There could be many reasons why whatever you're coming into awareness of is very difficult for you to keep to yourself. You may feel like it's really intense, the awareness that's coming in for you, or some opportunity that's coming your way, or something that's stirring, awakening in you. It may feel very intense and you feel like you want to share it with somebody, or maybe get their opinion on something, bounce something off someone. But if you do that, it's really going to sacrifice the path that's ready to open up. This will chain you. You have some kind of force operating in your world right now. And it doesn't have to be a person. It can be something you're engaged in, like some kind of activity or something. A habitual thing, something that you continually engage in here that you don't recognize the way it's really like restraining your energy from soaring to the heights it wants to arrive at. For also being able to get a clear view of actually where you're going here. But as you start to pay attention to these details and what is being highlighted for you over these next 72 hours, you're going to recognize what is acting as a chain of limitation. And then you'll know the chain that you need to break, because it's going to activate that part of you that'll be hungry like the wolf, and you will not be able to resist the scent of the trail that is calling you now. It is a trail that leads you to a place of gratification, also wild abandon, and it may not come in the package that you're expecting. This can even come through a person you're not expecting to be an ally to you, or to work with you, or to see things the way you do, or to even be able to give you a way in down a particular stretch of road that you wouldn't have access to any other way. But this is what is brewing with this new moon that's going to be coming in. And it is an activating point. It's when the road really does open so that what you want to create is possible here. But there is some kind of partnership energy around it. Partnership energy around it. It's a moment of creativity. It's like the two of you are bringing your forces together, and this allows you to actually be able to share that feast, of that pie, what was once a pie in the sky dream. It's no longer something that is broken due to pie crust promises, from taking opportunities, from tempting snakes that make that apple look so shiny and tasty, but it ends up being the very thing that cords into you and prevents you from being able to move effectively, because your energy is being drained and harvested by these reptilian forces. No, that time has come to an end. It's come to an end. There's been some elimination of a dark force that was cutting off the inception of creativity here. You worked with the moth medicine and you brought about some kind of transformation. You didn't resist the flames. You went straight into them, okay? Now, this is the part where you may not be seeing that you've actually already got your hands on this pie. At one time, it was something that you just had dreamed up, you mocked up, you seeded it in the field of multiplicity, you know. It took a while for the quantum mechanics to kick in and for those vibrating particles to finally be able to come into form, mainly because your form kept changing. And as your form kept changing, your initial vision started to shift and morph too. But now there's something that's coming through you right now where you're actually becoming a more clear channel, you're more disciplined, you're more focused, you're less distracted. And it's because of these details that are starting to come in. Before, you were more focused on the bigger picture, but the details are everything. Those are the things that can trip you up. And as you're starting to spot the little details, you're like, that's the spanner in the spokes. And that's what's allowing you to know which things you need to release. And each of these things that you are releasing, we're keeping you in a place of docility. When you're not meant to move like that at all, you're meant to move very bravely, very bold. You're meant to go to higher heights here. There are certain stretches of road, I'm hearing, that are coming up for you that can't be shared with anyone because it's very much an internal process, and these deep changes you're going through, you're experiencing a lot of catharsis right now. Don't negate the value of those times when you do feel alone. If you're somebody who tends to go more into that place of mistaking being alone for loneliness, there's something you really need to discover here. So pay attention. Pay attention, especially over these next 72 hours, if you're ever hit with a wave of loneliness or when you're having difficulty just being by yourself. Some may have been distracting themselves with certain social connections or, you know, just going out and about and being around a certain group, crowd of people. It may have been taking up more space than you really recognize. And there's something that wants to be lit up here for you, but it can only happen when you give yourself that alone space, that alone time. Each of these details is a link in this chain that's been keeping you held down here. And you need space from it so you really understand what has continually taken too much from you. And it's that very thing that's been preventing you from being able to move forward, from really opening up to the journey of your life and what's in store for you as this particular road opens up here. There's loyalties here that you need to question. And when I say loyalties, it doesn't have to be with a person. You could have great relationships in your life. Some of you may be really blessed to have a lot of awesome people in your life who really back you up, who really support you. Sometimes it's not always about somebody else being the problem. Sometimes it's something within you, and maybe you're engaging in distractionary activities, you know, things that you know aren't the best for you, you know, doing things like eating garbage food or connecting, you know, with superficial hookups, you know, to try to fill a deeper emotional void inside because you don't want to sit in the hot seat and really look at what's eating away at you. And there's something here where it's like where you're at and the door that is about to open for you and what's up ahead, you can't turn a blind eye to it anymore. You can't. Something does need to stop if you want to step into something more. There is something here that needs to transform, and always, I don't care what else is going on in your life or who's being just a complete ass around you. It's irrelevant. It always comes down to you, you know? It's up to you. You get to decide what you tolerate. You show people how to treat you by the level of disrespect that you accept, you know? This is really about stepping into your empowerment and being able to see things that maybe you haven't wanted to see, okay? And it may be difficult to see certain things, but whatever is lit up for you here, it could be a truth that you're having to acknowledge that makes it clear that you can't go back a certain way because it's just going to continue to take and take and take and take and take from you. And you can't be loyal to this anymore. You can't be loyal to this person, or you can't be loyal to this way of life, or you can't be loyal to this way of showing up, or whatever it is. And the only way you're going to be able to recalibrate is to get a little space from it. So pay attention. okay? When these things get highlighted for you over the next 72 hours, okay? Because there's something coming through in the next 72 hours that is giving you a major clue about what's in store with this next chapter that opens up with the Cancer new moon. It's bringing in that moth medicine again. It's showing you what cannot pass the fire test of truth for who you are becoming now, what needs to be released to the flames of transformation and go through an ending so there can be renewal in your life and something can open up here. If you continue to grasp a hold of this, you are going to just sink. You are going to sink as if in quicksand. Time is going to start to have a very different effect for you. Time is going to have this effect where it will start dragging you down. You will feel like you're almost regressing. You're almost regressing deeper into the archives of your past, even though you are moving forward into the future. You're stuck. And you'll feel very held there because the more you try to struggle with it, the more you're frustrated with it, the quicker you sink. So there's something here where it's really time to let go of something. Pay attention because you're being asked to give over something here over the next 72 hours as an offering. It's a sacrifice. This can be a habitual habit. It can be an addiction. It can be a perspective. It can be the way you communicate. It can be the way you're showing up in a certain way. It can be the way that you keep doing something, even though it makes you feel empty inside, and therefore you're not honoring the call of your spirit. It can be a connection that totally disrespects you. It can be anything that has served its time, its purpose. You are getting a major clue about this. And there's this beautiful new chapter that's opening up here. And it's a chapter that you're meant to be the total author of. And I feel like up to this point, you've had ghost writers. You know what I mean? It's like the ghosts of the past have been writing your story for you. And it's time for you to take back that power to create the storyline that most accurately reflects who you're becoming now. And you're going to write that as you go. You don't know how this story is going to end. There's so much of this energy coming in about don't get ahead of yourself. Stop trying to get to the finish line. There's so much going down right now in this moment. And where you do feel like time is speeding up or time is slowing down, that's giving you a clue that you need a recalibration to stop looking back into the past or being too future oriented. You need to come right here because only when we're in this moment do we enter that timeless flow. And that is the point of alchemy. You can't make anything happen in the future and you can't make anything happen in the past. You can only make it happen right now. And this is really being highlighted for you. And if you pay attention to those moments when these things are highlighted to you, it can come in just through an awareness. You know, something flies out of your mouth and you're like, wow, that really just highlighted for me a certain perspective I've held on to that's just absolute bullshit. Like, I really need to shift that. In that moment, that's something that has immediately gone through a transformation and already is rewriting your story of what's possible for your future than it was just 5 minutes before you had the revelation. It really is that potent. It's that powerful. This is the energy coming through. So enter the timelessness. Stop paying so much attention to linear time. Enter the timelessness, and then you'll find that it becomes very easy to transform what's been holding you back, what's been bogging you down. And suddenly you'll start to see a much different storyline emerging before you, right before your very eyes. You're going to start noticing people reacting to you differently, people coming into your life that maybe you never anticipated coming into your life. Could be reconnections in some cases. Could be healings happening in your relationships. because these little things, these little details, something that you've been distracted from, you've been more focused on the bigger picture or the beef, you know, what's the meat of the matter, the thing that's kept you in a conflicted place with your life or with others. That's been a distraction. It's like as you start to get down to these finer details, you're going to be transforming in the moment, in the moment, in the moment, just to acknowledge, wow, that needs to change. I need to change that. Already, that's a seed that's been planted. Having that self-knowledge is everything. Having the self-knowledge that, hey, it's up to me. I got to change it. Like nobody's going to change it for me. You can't control what other people do. You can wish that somebody would make a choice that was more in alignment with your values or what you think is best, and you have absolutely zero control over that person's free will. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because they're here to be free, just like you. You don't have to agree with what they do, and it doesn't mean that everything that people do is necessarily cool or noble or righteous. You know, but it's not for you to make the determination of when they get the memo, or if they even have the courage to transform and really look at what's behind that. It's up to you to understand, why do I let that in? Why do I entertain that? Why do I keep focusing on that? Why am I wasting my life on this? Why? And get honest with yourself. And the reality is, any time that we hold on to pain, I mean, these are things, I'm not speaking from like some place of not understanding. Like I've been through all of this before many times in my life. I've experienced this, you know, where I had to really be honest with myself and go, wow, you know, what a sweet shade of sorrow that is. You know, we can't become attached to our pain. It works for us in many different ways. It gives us an excuse to hold ourselves back for not stepping into everything that we are capable of stepping into, for not becoming everything we are capable of being. It serves us in some way. And where we are holding on to something, okay, that we know is not to our benefit, whether it's, you know, the way we're treating our bodies, or the way we're treating each other in our relationships, or anything we're doing that we know is just like wasting our time and keeping us from really investing in what we really want to do. Like that's something that we have to look at. Why? How is that working for me? There is a way it's working for you, you know? And as you start to understand how it's working for you, you see through the deception. And that's how that procrastination works for you, because it helps you take a moment to go, whoa, wait, I keep putting this off, or I keep avoiding looking at this thing and digging a little deeper into this. And now I see what it's really revealing to me. That's what allows you to transform something here. I also feel like you're dealing with a character here who really feels like maybe they pushed their luck too far, you know? They got one too many chances. This person may feel like you're getting out of their grasp. You're getting away from them. They thought that they had forever to take advantage of some opportunity. Nobody is ever guaranteed forever. You got only so much time on planet Earth. And once you've been here for a certain amount of time, by the time you reach a certain age, you start going, hey man, my first half of my life has been wasted on a lot of nonsense. I got the second half here that I want to have a different quality of an experience here. You stop putting up with stuff you used to entertain, okay? So I do feel like somebody here is feeling the march of time in regard to that. They want to see, can they rewrite a storyline? Can it be revised? Can we do some edits? They may want to edit part of the story with you. Yeah, they want to edit the embarrassing bits where they got caught in a compromising situation. They felt the stung of that back there. Okay, let's see. They felt the stung of that. It stung. It still stings. They felt the sting of it back there. Yes, we are in Mercury retrograde. Okay, we're not going to be out of that post shadow until the 23rd, so this energy coming on through. little communication glitches. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it is kind of this, dichotomous energy right now where everything feels really destructive, But then in the moments that you're able to have clarity, even despite everything crazy going on in the world today, you can take a breath and you can go, you know what, but actually it's fine. It's fine. Like you can understand the greater design. And I feel like that comes not only from, the microcosmic aspect of our own little personal lives and our little bubbles that we live in, and that everything that happens within our little bubbles, it's major for us, but in the bigger picture, it's really a minute thing, It's a minute thing. But I think even with the stuff that's going on the worldwide level, on that big stage of life, the things that are going through a destructive process, we recognize, even though it's harsh, it's difficult to be alive at this time. And yet at the same time, there can be a recognition that there can be no restoration until there's been a complete dismantling of what is destructive here. It's to root something entirely new out of awareness of what does need to come to an end. So it's like a collective waking up point that we're experiencing here. And on our personal levels, yes, but collectively, globally, it's an awareness that's coming through. That sometimes things have to look destructive before the renewal can come. And I think really, truly, everything is fine. Even though it really doesn't seem like that, everything is fine. As long as we don't lose the lessons. As long as we don't lose the lessons, everything will be fine. It is a test for humanity when we look at it macrocosmically, okay? So notice these kind of themes coming on through. Pay attention to the opportunity to transform. Cut of the deck energy. What do we got here? Yeah, what's important is understanding that your strength and your formidability against anything that could be considered the enemy is actually sourced from you being 100% all in with your heart. That's what allows you to skate through even treacherous territory. That is your best defense, is to have this strong rooting in your heart. The heart knows the way. The heart is always going to be the way through, especially when we're in the Aquarian age. There's no bypassing that, right? No bypassing that. There's a reason why in the West there's such a high incidence of cardiovascular disease. It's because of that disconnect from the heart, It's such a heady experience in Western civilization. It's all about the shoulds and what we think looks good, how we define success, and being really rooted in our polarized beliefs that it's very difficult to get out of that dichotomous sort of mindset. It's difficult to escape that polarization and find the way through, but the way through is always the heart. It's always going to be the heart. You can't get anywhere if you can't bridge the head to the heart. And the heart is always going to be the way through that gives you that strength, that natural defense. It's only when we are truly within our heart that we have strong defensive energies in our favor, because it helps us move through fear. Fear, any kind of fear, something that could seem so formidable or threatening, and yet everything that we need in our lives is going to require us. Any level of fulfillment, anything of value is going to require us in one way or another to travel through fear. Fear is the valley of the shadow of death. And we find the light only when we cleave to those drops of nectar of life, that ojas that's contained within our heart, that gives us that sense of immortality. The body, the vessel may return to the dust, but Love is eternal. Love never dies. It just transforms. It takes on a new form. And that's how you cheat death, by not losing your heart. You lose your heart, you're done for already. You're done for already. You're not alive. You're not in your heart. You know, we clog the channels with so much stress, so much pressure, so much of what we think we need to achieve and what gives our life meaning. And it's all this shit that's been programmed to us that doesn't have any meaning at all. And that's what we're being asked to see here. We're being asked to cleanse the old vision of how we used to define meaning. It's the Aquarian age. It's time to really redefine what is meaningful for us. And that can only be done from a heart-centered space. So there's things happening here over these next 72 hours that are really letting you know where you have abandoned your heart and what you need to do to get back there. What do you need to do to clear out the channels that have become blocked, you know? So you can really come back into the rhythm of the beating of your own heart again. And only then will the creative potential of the mind actually be activated. Only then can it really be harnessed for the value that it holds too. It's not about saying that your knowledge has no value, that there's no wisdom in your perspective or how you see things, but it's only when the two are fused together that it has true cathartic relevance, where it actually has the ability to transform something. That's when you can bring something out of the ether and you can pull it on through and actualize it. You can manifest it in your life. You can step into it in your reality instead of it just sort of staying up here in the head space. Because head without heart, it's a dangerous territory. There's a lot of deceit that can take root there, especially with the way thoughts are programmed in the world we live in today, right? So this is also something coming through that's going to help you cut through some kind of confusion. Now, there could be an element that comes in here where somebody may try to introduce some level of confusion into the mix. Confusion in relation to what has finally just really become rooted in your heart here, something that you feel very certain of. They might try to attempt to introduce confusion here, but you know that whatever they're bringing forward here, yeah, it's just a bit of the Frodis. It's a bit of a sideshow attraction here. I think that, you know, they're trying to maybe feed off your energy a little bit. They feel like they're depleted of your energy. They need a little nurturing from you. They're trying to grab a hold of the situation. So somebody coming in talking a big talk, you know, thinking they're schooling you about something. But I think that you don't need to partake of this cup of knowledge because it's poisoned here. It's poisoned by the Frodis. Somebody here that you're dealing with is deep in the programming of the way things used to be, and they want you to embrace their worldview here. You know, if you do though, you've had that view before. You didn't like that view. You know, you're not going to be like this, like a cat licking its butt for all of eternity, and that's all you're going to find here. You know. And whereas you used to be able to kind of look at somebody's intentions and say, oh, you know, it's probably nothing. They don't mean any harm, or maybe I'm not seeing that accurately. You trust yourself now and you see the facade. You know, it doesn't matter what face this character puts on. You see the programming there. You see the Frodis there. So you got somebody coming through here that's hoping to throw you in this goop stage again after you've already gotten your wings, and it's like it's too late. You see, it's coming in with a new moon. You're activating your magic. You broke cycle on this. You've digested this enough times. The world has turned. That cycle of your world is complete. You're creating a new world now, and it's rooted in power. You're moving into the expansion of the 9th house, okay? That 9th house of Sagittarius, so take a look at what you got going on in the 9th house of Sagittarius in your chart. It's showing you where the activation is coming in, where the magic is brewing in your life, where you are really going through this alchemical process, and why you have a reason to feel very optimistic about cutting something off here. It's coming in with the new moon, this new vision, all because you had the courage, look at that, to make the journey from the head to the heart, and you found the way through to the new vision. Transformation complete. No longer just settling for a piece of the pie. You're getting that whole pie here. Maybe joining forces with somebody that gets where you're at here. Could bring a message from an individual, communication from an individual, or even you just partnering with spirit on something here. But I feel like Mercury is on your side here. And yeah, it's a little stirred up right now as you're really coming out of the old reality where you felt like nobody knows the troubles you've seen and like there's just more up ahead. You're really putting that behind you. It's been transformed. And now you got your wings. A lot of owl medicine continues to come through. So this is a magic moment. And the magic is in really being able to see through deception. You have the ability to see through deception. There was a benefit of moving through such a dark passage. It made you quite acquainted with the shadow. You know how mean and heavy things can get. And so you can spy it from a mile away. It's not hard to detect deception. It's not hard to see through a facade when you have been so fiercely tempered through moving through the darkness, okay? And that's what you're going to recognize. It's like, yeah, there may be a lot that's stirring up here. There may be a lot that seems unpredictable, unstable in the world around us, but the reality is it's needed in order for something new to take root here. So take all those lessons that you learned from Aries and Chiron, and now with it in Taurus, allow it to be the source of really giving a finger to the BS so you can properly crown yourself with the knowledge of all you've learned about what is worth your time, what is worth your energy, because Kala, Mahakala is on your side here. Time truly is on your side when you come into the present and you slice through self-deception and you're able to see things as they are. And you're also able to call yourself out the ways that you have attachments to certain things because it fits your own narrative and gives you excuses. And we're really being asked to be honest with ourselves. Stop worrying so much about charging others with, where they need to clean up and what they need to do and how they need to see your side of something. We all have enough of our own work to do here. And you really learn that the more you pull your energy back from focusing on what's going on with other people, what they're doing, the more you feel strong within yourself and the more it uplifts the quality of your life. You see, because once you bring this to an end, there's so much more free flow up ahead. And you'll realize that something you used to see as your opponent, it's just like, it's something so silly. It's something so silly you've been focused on. It doesn't allow you to become master of the hunt until you're able to fully recognize that, all right? So, Rhubarb Tony coming on through, bringing in the wisdom, partake of the wisdom of Venus here. You may know the warring side, but it's time to come into the beauty and the love aspect of that Venusian energy. And once you get rooted in your power in this way, there's like a lot of ancient memory waking up in you. It's like a book of knowledge waking up in you. It seems to be echoing from past lifetimes. There's a lot of this kind of download that's been coming in recently about this retrieval of skills, talents, magics, knowledge, insight, awareness of things from past lives. And the way that you could see that, if you're not somebody who really buys into that perspective of there being multiple incarnations, would be even, you know, a past version of yourself. It's something that almost acts as like a hidden key, right? Something that you knew you would need later, but maybe at the time you couldn't really access the full potential of it. You weren't ready to step through that door, so you tucked that key somewhere for safekeeping. And Mercury is coming in here during this retrograde cycle with all of the other energy we got, like Mars and Mars hanging out there in Cancer, and Jupiter in Cancer, and you also got the energy of you know, Uranus in Gemini. Or is it Mars is in Gemini? Mars may be in Gemini. I think it's Mars in Gemini with Uranus. Yes, yes. So, you know, that's going to create this energy that's very turn on the drop of a dime, you know, where something can really shift quickly. But if you're able to really harness these things that are starting to come forward within you as a direct result of you healing that deepest wound of the self, this is when those keys can be put in your hands too, that allow you to open up a door of opportunity that maybe is just here for just a brief little flicker of time, okay? So pay attention, because old things are coming back around to open up different possibilities for you and how your story unfolds. But it does require you to be in that heart space. You have to be able to feel your way through. And all I know, you know, I'm sure you've experienced this too. When something feels like this is meant to be, where does it always land? You know, when you're certain of an action, you always feel it right here. Once you're in your heart space, it does give you the ability to take actions, take risks you normally would be afraid to. It's only when we're invested on this level that we can pass through fear. So there's something about that too. If fear is enough to hold you back, that might not be your way through. And it's good to see that too, okay? So pay attention to this. Pay attention to what is peering through these next 72 hours. Of course, these messages are timeless, and they do come back around the bend, but there is something coming through here that is of great significance that can help you arrive at a certain juncture right on time over the next 72 hours that puts you on the fast track. So pay attention so you don't miss the opportunity, because there's lots of opportunities coming all of our way over the next 72 hours. Good luck and Godspeed.